the expansion of global money supply typically leads to this growth in the price of Bitcoin, and a lot of investors see Bitcoin as a hedge against debasement of the dollar and other major currencies around the globe.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Bitwise Asset Management European Head, Bradley Duke. Bradley, very good to speak with you again. And since we last spoke, we've seen Bitcoin pulling back a little bit. It hit those all-time highs back in mid-August. Are we seeing a bit of summer lethargy here?
Yeah, absolutely. I think summer lethargy is a good way of putting it. Well, what we've noticed with Bitcoin, so we track the seasonality of Bitcoin since its inception. And we've noticed that it displays, if you look at the S&P over a similar period, it actually has quite a similar chart insofar as there is a distinct seasonality, in the months of August and September in particular are typically down months for both the S&P 500 and Bitcoin. So this idea, there's this whole banking adage, sell in May and go away, meaning that people, so they can enjoy their holidays, they close out all their positions. It may apply to, or it seems like it could apply to Bitcoin as well. So interesting that, and also, some may argue that would make for a good time to actually, to open a position in Bitcoin, where during periods of soft market where you are be able to get a more depressed price than you would otherwise. So interesting times for those who want to open a new position or build on their existing position so over this coming months, and we expect that from October onwards it will start to towards the holiday period at the end of the year. We expect the price to climb again. Of course, there's no crystal ball. No one knows what future performance is, and you can't model it on past performance. But that's been, in the 16 years that 15 years, 16 years that Bitcoin's been around. That's the pattern that we have noticed.
Well, I mean, it looks like corporates have certainly been opening new positions or building on their positions, Bradley. And we've chatted just before about those corporate purchases helping to support the Bitcoin price.
Yeah, so there's a lot has been said about this, like a structural imbalance between supply and demand in Bitcoin. Meaning we know that there's only 21 million in total supply that's ever going to be available, and most of that has already been mined. And then we've got this new buying group that no one really anticipated. These corporate treasury purchases of Bitcoin. So corporations. Now, we only track listed corporations. We have to make their holdings available. And there's a lot of corporations who are not listed, who are privately held, who also have significant Bitcoin holdings as well. So of course, what's been happening is that these corporations have been buying more Bitcoin, led, of course, by Strategy. Michael Saylor's, previously MicroStrategy, which is now called Strategy, and many other, these Bitcoin treasury companies. Who through financial engineering buy more and more Bitcoin. And today is a big day because actually the number of Bitcoin held by these corporations, or the ones that are publicly traded, has passed 1 million Bitcoin for the first time. So that's a significant structural bid almost of they always this buying is constant and growing as the charts represent.
How about the relationship between Bitcoin and global money supply growth? Could you take us through any correlation you're seeing there?
Yeah, and this is something we've spoken about before, and we've often shown a chart where which we show that when you lag the price of Bitcoin, the money supply growth with the 3-month lag, you see that it actually tracks the price of Bitcoin really, really well, and that's been for quite a long period now. That's been tracking very neatly, but what we've noticed recently, you talked about Bitcoin pulling back since its all-time highs earlier in the summer. we've noticed that actually it has broken away from that line. Obviously, it doesn't track it, completely neatly. So we're expecting that this could mean that there will be an upward correction in the price of Bitcoin at some point. Of course, the expansion of global money supply typically leads to this growth in the price of Bitcoin, and a lot of investors see Bitcoin as a hedge against debasement of the dollar and other major currencies around the globe.
Let's see how it fares as we enter the last 4 months of the year. Bradley, thanks as always for your insights.
Thank you so much.
Bradley Duke, European head at Bitwise Asset Management.